Have a great show, everyone.
Thanks, Andrew.
Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Lang. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Lang.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. If you're a new guest, welcome to the show. If you're a recurring listener, we appreciate your patronage. And as always, we have some fantastic guests this week. Actually, a meeting with a trio today. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can see what they look like. They're all gorgeous. I think they could be models as well as advertising and digital marketing executives. But if you're listening on the live radio show, listen in. We're in for a really fantastic show today. So Ceasar, George, and Lisa, thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time this morning. I know you're very busy.
Thank you so much for having us, Patrick. It's really an honor to be here with you today and be a part of your show. We're excited to be a part of this interview today.
It's my pleasure. Go ahead and tell us how you pronounce each of your names. I want to make sure we get it right. Ceasar, Munoz, I can do that. George, how do you pronounce your last name? And then Lisa, you as well.
Yeah, you're trying mine. It's
Karafotis. Do you say it like that?
There you go. Perfect.
George Karafotis. Okay. George and Ceasar are co-founders, co-CEOs of the Silver Spoon Agency. It's a digital marketing firm out of New York, Montebello, New York, right?
Yeah, just north of Manhattan, about 30 miles.
All right. And Lisa, do you say Garife?
Yeah, almost. So it's Lisa Garife.
Garife or Garife? Garife. Okay.
Yeah. And
I've always wondered, because we communicate through email and have for a long time. So.
Been butchered lots of different ways, so it's all good. I'm in Colorado, so I'm based in Colorado, just south of Denver.
That's right. And Lisa is the executive director of strategic partnerships with Silver Spoon. And today we're going to be talking about partnership. We're going to be talking about digital marketing and advertising, what's going on in that arena, especially how it's being affected by AI. I think it's a big question these days, hot topic, obviously. I'm curious to know how the three of you with your diverse backgrounds came together and have and are creating such a great partnership, because they say partnership is the only ship that doesn't sail so often. And if you're making it work, you're doing something right. So as I was saying, I do appreciate you being here, guys. And you have these diverse backgrounds. Each of you are business owners. You've done a number of different things in addition to the digital marketing agency. And Lisa, you're a new addition to the team. I know you've owned your company, ClickBridge Marketing, for a long time and have a strong reputation in that arena. And now you've decided to partner up with Ceasar and George here at the Silver Spoon Agency. So I'm interested to hear how that came about and why you decided to do that.
Well, so Patrick, many years ago, I think 3.5, 4 years ago, I met these two gentlemen through an elite mastermind that I was a coach in, and they were coming into the program. And I knew from the get-go, like, their energy and their, the way that they prioritize certain things in just who they are was a great fit for not only the mastermind, but also I kept my eye on them and I saw them run like crazy. So just over the years, as we built that long-term relationship, I kept track of them and then came back to them and said, listen, I want to join forces. I want to partner up. I want to be part of what you're doing. Because what I saw on a consistent basis overall was happy outcomes, happy clients. And so that's always the golden reward for us, is when we can have that trickle all the way down to where the results are what, people are looking for. So we met through the mastermind, and it's just a continuing, evolution from there. So
Well, I think it's a physics principle, right? Like attracts like.
Yeah.
And I knew in the first 2 minutes of talking with these guys that they are not your normal entrepreneurs. They're not your run-of-the-mill executives, right? You guys are very intriguing, George and Caesar, and I know you've had Silver Spoon now for about 4 years, is my understanding.
Yes.
Where Lisa and I go way back. You and I are new acquaintances, but I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit of your story and hearing how you came about and how you've built your firm, because you're turning a lot of heads there at Silver Spoon, and you're obviously doing something right in in an arena that you have a lot of competition. I mean, businesses get hit up by digital marketing firms on a daily basis, usually multiple times a day. And so I'm interested to talk about what it is you're doing different, but let's go into your backgrounds first, if we may. Alphabetically, maybe we could start with you, Caesar.
Yeah. So
Go ahead. Tell us where you grew up and kind of what brought you to where you are today. Interesting insight, everybody. Both Caesar and George are both musicians. In fact, I just learned a few minutes ago that their team of about 30 people, I think you said 29 staff members, you're all musicians or dancers or artists of one kind or another. Lisa even said she's a singer and played the piano growing up, and so there's this theme of music that's woven through your agency. You're a classically trained tenor singer, Caesar. And I even thought we might get him to sing a little opera on here. Maybe we won't, but but tell us about your background. Tell us how you got to where you are today, and then we'll jump to George and end with last but as they say, last but not least.
yeah. Thank you so much, Patrick. Yeah. So my name is Ceasar Munoz. I'm of Italian and Spanish descent. Raised by my single mother. I have two sisters, and I was born here in New York, Rockland County, where I spent most of my life living in service. In terms of giving back to my community, I've always liked to be part of people, in any atmosphere, whether it be serving meals at a soup kitchen, or when I became a volunteer firefighter and volunteer EMT. And I kind of paved my way towards what I went into as a career choice as a New York City police officer.
Right, 15 years, right?
15
With
years,
NYPD.
and now actually finalizing retirement at this point. After the 15 years of service, I'm retiring 5 years early because of what we built here with the Silver Spoon Agency. I'm able to now take myself out of a dangerous career, although I love the guys I work with and everything like that. But I have two daughters as well, and I want to be there for them. So super important for that. And then throughout my life in high school, I started to sing. Actually, I started singing in about 6th grade when I got my first solo. and then from there, apparently everyone was like, wow, you're really good. So I kind of learned from there to sing. I got music lessons, and then I started singing some classical music, and I did musical theater as well. And I got to perform on the Nederlander stage on Broadway in New York City when Cameron McIntosh, the producer of Les Miserables, and
Fantastic.
yeah, and I recorded a international album playing the part of Jean Valjean as a 17-year-old young guy.
Wow, so, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and then Silver Spoon came to life 4 years ago. Actually, it was about August 2020 or July of 2020, and I also own a DJ entertainment company, music. We do weddings and stuff like that. And when COVID had hit, that business took a big hit. But I went to school for marketing and media studies. So then from there, one night I'm laying in bed and like, man, I gotta do something here. We need to supplement income, and I said, you know what? let me go back to my roots. I went to school for marketing. I'm gonna start a marketing agency. And I was up till 3 a.m. I came up with the name Silver Spoon Agency, feeding your business quality leads. And the next day, hired a graphic designer, came up with the logo, boom, 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 boom. And then started to re-educate myself on digital marketing. And that's how I found Lisa and the mastermind Dash Lead. And then it started from there.
That's fantastic. I know you've been in fashion, you've worked in real estate, you co-founded a SaaS company. I mean, you have all this diverse experience. Let me ask one question, then we'll move to George just for sake of time. But I'm curious what 15 years on the force, in admittedly one of the most dangerous cities in America, obviously an amazing city, but dangerous, right? And
Sure.
what was one thing you took from your service in law enforcement that you think is contributing to what you do today?
So I would say it's the team, the common goal, right?
Mhm.
We're all in service to the public to keep it safe, keep it secure, and do it together, right? Because not one police officer can change it, but if all 35,000 NYPD officers take the initiative and they really step up to be proactive in their policing, we can really, shape a much safer community. So I think it really, for me, the biggest takeaway is teamwork.
Yeah, I heard you say the thing you're going to miss the most is the guys you work with, and so I sense that that's what you would say.
We miss the clowns, not the circus, right?
Right. Interesting opera story real quick, and then I'll turn the time to you, George. But my wife was on a cruise with her friends, this is several years ago, and they were on a Mediterranean cruise, and they heard that they were flying in a special singer one night to perform on the cruise ship. And guess who it was? Luciano Pavarotti.
Oh,
If you can imagine.
that's my nickname. People call me Young Pavarotti. That's what they call me.
That's great.
He's my favorite. He's my idol tenor.
Yeah, he's amazing. I lived in Italy for 2 years. I speak fluent Italian, so I'm a big opera fan and obviously Pavarotti fan. But all right, George, you are on the hot seat. Tell us how you got to where you are and how you met Ceasar here and became a part of Silver Spoon.
Of course. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks for having us here. My name is George Karafotis. I grew up in Thessaloniki, Greece. I started my career as a musician first. I picked up the guitar by the age of 12. So I started playing music starting. I released my first album when I was 15. I started playing live shows by the age of 15. And by the age of 18, I started already auditioning for bands in Europe and international. So I joined an international heavy metal band. I started touring and met all these cool people and big names in the industry, musicians. Served the stage with a couple big names and also toured a couple of times, Norway, Europe. We played a lot of shows in Scandinavia and USA. We had a couple of things that we were doing with record labels. We released a lot of albums. So it was a nice way to understand a little bit better how marketing works in this world. Because I was in the meantime, I was studying at the University of Macedonia, business administration, marketing. So like I was in the tour bus. We're going literally from city to city, and instead of like chilling and drinking and stuff like that, I was studying. I was like coming back. I was getting through the exams and everything because I wanted to get the degree, and I was trying to constantly just feed my mind with, knowledge every single day. So I remember like when I graduated from university, I wanted to do something more. In the meantime, I was still playing and touring. So I started, with marketing a little bit more because I felt like I really liked it. And I was already advertising for some big names in the industry. I was handling the Google ads, YouTube ads, stuff like that for quite a long time. Yeah. And then I understood that it might be a good time for me to do this professionally because I was doing this for free because I really liked the guys. So sometimes, I felt like I was doing a lot of things for free, although I was sharing my IP, intellectual property, with them. Like I was doing all this work, I was helping them out, I was blowing up numbers, talking about millions of streams and stuff like that, like on my own. So everybody was getting like super excited and like, oh my God, George, you're so good at these, and how you do that, and you play music at the same time. Like, you know what? I'll start my own company. So 4 or 5 years ago, I started Revenue Masters Agency, which is a digital marketing firm as well. And then I joined Das Elite after a few months, and I met Lisa first. So the first talk we had with Lisa, the first 10 minutes of the call, I'm like, oh my God, there's alignment here. I know I'm gonna work with this phenomenal lady. Like I know already we're gonna work. She's an absolute killer, and I know that something will be there for us. It's not gonna be immediate, but it's gonna come later. And I told her the first day, I know we're gonna work together later. Through that Desolate community, through that mentorship, it was 6 months. I met Ceasar, and the first call, the first 5 minutes, like I go all in with this guy. Just the alignment, goal setting, and it's a vision, but also it's as a human, like he's phenomenal. Like in terms of like energy, like like nonstop. He's a powerhouse. I don't know how. I don't know what else. He's really good at what he does, and we figured out ways to work together, balance each other as well. So yeah, after the tour, I came to the digital marketing world a little bit stronger. I have a big background into that too. I scale a lot of businesses. We have generated like more than 50 million in revenue for a lot of businesses. I manage more than 2 million in ad spend for a lot of companies. So. And I go into the AI world in a very early stage. So we're one of the few agencies at the beginning that were doing AI. We got very interested with Ceasar. So I'm like, you know what, let's join venture. I feel the vibe, it's great. I know we can crush it. Let's dominate the US. So that's how it all started.
Well, isn't it interesting when we meet people and we just resonate, right? We're kindred spirits, we're in alignment. We think, I am going to work with you one way or the other, whatever it takes, right? If we have to go start a company to make it happen, and it's like that with people, but that's rare. I don't think that happens as often as you think it would. Other relationships grow over time and take work, and I mean, we've all met people we didn't like at first, or they irritated us or something. And then once we got to know them a little bit, we realized, hey, this is a really interesting individual, and maybe we could do some things together. But that's really interesting that the three of you just hit it off right off the bat and saw that there was potential there and saw that you wanted to do something together. So,
I'll say real quick too, Patrick, that you all talked about Italy. So those Italian roots, I didn't talk much about my background, but I'm Sicilian, and that Italian in me, that I don't know what I'm Italian and I'm also a Leo. So, you got those two things going for you. You're building relationships. And that world traveler element, a global citizen, but then also ultimately that servant leader. Like I see that in these two, and that resonates with me and my background and what I've done with my life as well. And the core of where it began, and so I think that is just, it's like a magnet. It's very magnetic.
Well, I told you before the show that this hour passes really quickly. We're already up against our break, and so let's go to break real quick. We'll be right back, just a minute or two to talk a little bit about our sponsors, and we'll come back and get to know Lisa a little bit. And I have a couple more questions for you, George, before we move on. But let's go to break. We're visiting with the two co-CEOs and the let's see, your exact title.
Executive strategic partnerships. Yeah,
that's a mouthful. Executive.
I just need 3 letters. I need
Executive Director, Strategic Partnership at Silver Spoon Agency. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And thanks for listening.
All right, great job. All clear. Back in 2 minutes.
All right, thanks, Andrew. So we're still recording on the YouTube. I always tell people to get the behind the scenes. So So tell me a little, we probably won't get into this in the radio part, but tell me a little bit about Dash Elite. What is Dash Elite, if I may?
So it's a mastermind that was born out of a kind of a white label fulfillment company. And, there's a lot of agencies within that organization. And then there's those who want to take it to the next level. And so then, certain individuals would then invest further and then do the work, do the hard work that it takes to really build a business from the ground up.
So is it focused on digital marketers primarily, or all kinds of entrepreneurs?
Mostly digital marketers. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's mainly digital marketing, but it was also like they had I remember Chad had a few courses there, how to scale your agency, the agency accelerator, a couple other things that he was doing, and then posting like weekly calls, talking about like prospecting, sales scripts, how to scale your agency, like how do you position yourself in the market, stuff like that. Yep.
That's fantastic. I've been a part of several masterminds myself over the years. I'm a part of one right now called Legion, and it's focused on Web3 and AI and Chat GPT, things like that. They're kind of
Nice.
ahead of the game a little bit on the AI. We heard about Chat GPT before it ever came out, and some stuff like that. So that's one of the masterminds I'm a part of. And I saw somewhere that you are an investor in FX. What is FX Bowls Capital, George?
It's my other company. We have live education courses for day trading, stocks, stuff like that. Anything that has to do with day trading and long-term trading, but mainly day trading. Was we analyze the charts. We have live trading sessions. We have courses from the very beginner to expert mode level. So I've done a lot of work in this company. We're not releasing a new offer over the next couple of weeks. I think we're going to crush it in the market. We have 600 members. We do really well so far.
Interesting.
All right, Patrick, we are coming back.
Thanks, boss.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. Thanks for listening in on this beautiful Friday morning. I'm coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, and my guests are with us from New York and also from Colorado. So I guess we have the whole country covered, right? The middle and the east. So we were just visiting with George Karafotis. He's the co-founder, co-CEO, and chief marketing officer at Silver Spoon Agency. And we're talking about this dual role you hold as a musician, as an elite guitarist, and as a digital marketer, and how they've blended together. I think it was really interesting that you're riding your tour bus around performing with, amazing names, right? Some very well-known bands and ranging from let's see who you've got. Arch Enemy, Skid Row, Ryan Roxy,
Alice
Cooper, right? Symphony X, Phil Campbell. The list goes on. And you mentioned earlier before the show that you have 29 staff members, and all of them are musically inclined, musicians, dancers, etc. How do you see that contributing to your agency? Because I think that's a really interesting element to Silver Spoon Agency. What would you say, George?
So the main thing, music and marketing, because both of them, they start from a creative, you need to have a creative background to be good at marketing. Let's face it, unless you're just a copywriter or something like that, and you only do that. And if you want to understand marketing a little bit better, you need to be more creative, because the more creative you are, the better you capture the audience attention. So in my opinion, like having a team that is everybody's boss. Like we have a great team. Having a team that are into arts in general, just very artistic, helps us out a lot in the brainstorming sessions because we can just take it to a different level. Like the way we brainstorm is way different than any other company because we're just gonna start throwing ideas. We might figure out like we might find a nice track that we want to use for a video, or we might think something that we saw in the music scene, or we have other ideas as well later on that we're doing the agency in terms of like blending music. Yes, that's another thing we're gonna do. Releasing our own singles and stuff like that for jingles for clients and stuff like that. We're gonna do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's very creative, I would say, and it's great working with creative people, and it just elevates the energy.
I can imagine. That's really neat. Well, we better move forward to Lisa. We're going to use up our whole show just on your background. And I have to interject, guys. The hardest part of getting ready for this episode was condensing your bios down to 1,500 words each, which is what Voice America limits it to. So I was like, I can handle 3 people. This will be easy. And then I looked at your bios and making them short enough and still, cohesive was a bit of a task. But so Lisa Garife, she's the executive director, strategic partnerships. Did I get that right?
You did.
All right. Well, if you read in her bio, she is a powerhouse. 15 plus years experience in strategic consulting, revenue growth, cost-effective lead generation. The list goes on. And she and I have known each other for several years. She is widely respected in the digital marketing arena. And I'm not surprised that you two saw something in her and she in you the moment you met. But then as you've watched each other over the last several months or even years, I'm sure that respect has grown and grown enough that you've decided, hey, we can do this even better if we do it together. Is that a fair summarization?
Absolutely. Yep.
So Lisa, tell us your story. How did you get to where you are as a marketing powerhouse?
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. And I'll just say entrepreneurialism is in my DNA, and it has been, my whole life. I remember growing up and my parents were like, all right, here's your little kit and you're going to go, ride around on your bike, and you're going to paint these numbers on the side of the curb for, the house number on the curb.
That's right. We were talking about that.
Yeah, I was in Girl Scouts and I was in all of the things, that really formed, I guess, that spark and passion and love for business. And, 4-H, all of the things. And then just as, I moved through life, and there was a period of time where, much like the whole music and art element that is part of Silver Spoon, I am a world traveler. So just having the diversity of culture and, being comfortable in places that I've never been to, and just expanding that holistic approach for life, honestly. And I took a backpack. I literally condensed a whole bunch of stuff, threw it in a backpack, and traveled Europe for 6 months after I graduated from school. And, I just, I guess the silver thread that runs through all of that is, meeting so many people from different cultures, and really we're all the same, and I think that's what's really attracted me to these fellas, is just that servant heart and really demanding the excellence within what we do, because ultimately it impacts someone else. And when we're talking about certainty and uncertainty and all of that, that all feeds together. So when you can embark on that journey with a certain outcome in mind, it does feed into that certainty. So I know I kind of went on a big loop there, but my background has always been based in service. And whether it's been serving, we do a Thanksgiving in July in my community, my networks, and we pull out the white tablecloths and feed the homeless in a very distinguished way. And I've also been part of an urban leadership foundation, a leadership group, where I was the minority in this year-long program. And so just having all of those different perspectives, it kind of goes along with that music, the art, the travel, all of that, to really make you a well-rounded individual that then you can have compassion and real connection to who you serve. And whether that's personally or professionally, ultimately, I don't want to embark on anything that isn't at the highest level, because it just doesn't feel like it's in alignment with who I am. So, I guess if that were the big summary, all of those pieces are part of that puzzle. And that's what really made what George and Ceasar are all about resonate with me. When I found out that Ceasar's on the front lines in New York, I'm like, oh, what? Why am I not surprised? So, and
Well, I love that. I as you talk about having a servant's heart, I see that in each of you, right? And with your service, and thank you for your service, Ceasar, as a police officer, and George as a musician.
Military man.
Yeah, I was in the Army for 9 years myself, and we're a veteran-owned company. And, I think if you ever have the opportunity to truly serve in your community, whether you created it, whether it falls in your lap, and then as a musician, I started to say, George, I think the very best musicians, they love what they do, and they're there for the audience, right? It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. I mean, sure, that might be something that's nice too, or an added benefit, but oftentimes it's a drawback. But it's that they love their audience, right? They're there night in and night out, killing themselves up at 4 a.m. and going all night and working to serve their audiences. And that ties right into what you're saying, Lisa. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. People don't understand how much effort and how much time it takes, just going from city to city every day. So basically, play the show. It's amazing. You get fed all this energy from the crowd. It's electrifying, and you feel it, and you want to give back. After the show, you have a little bit of time. You want to meet with people, sign some of them, take pictures. Although you want to stay more, the tour bus, the schedule is tight. The driver needs to start driving because you need to hit the next city next morning. So while you're sleeping in the tour bus, the driver is driving at night. So if it's a long distance, it takes a lot of time. But you can just imagine 35 days on the road, and just the last couple of days, you feel tired. Even for me, I was the young guy all the time. It's super young. You can tell the energy is high. I was there in the morning doing push-ups. Come on, guys, get up, stuff like that. The crazy Greek guitar player there for them. But it was always I could tell the guys, when they were stepping in the venue, the energy was high immediately. The same thing with us. We step into business, we want high energy in the beginning. We want to make sure we do the necessary things in the first place, build the foundation, be completely honest with the business owner, and take it from there. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Well, it's a principle in business that all of us would agree is paramount. If you are trying to build a business and you don't have your client's best interests at heart, if you don't have that servant heart, and you're truly seeking to take care of them, right, to serve them well and take their business to the next level, or serve or provide that above and beyond service that they need and are expecting, if you don't do that, you're never truly going to be successful. You might make money, you might last a little while, but you're never going to be enduring. Right. I don't think you'll ever create a true legacy or have true impact if you don't approach it in that way.
I love that, Patrick. That's so powerful what you just said there, because it's about finding that common ground and alignment with people. Just forget the business aspect, but just getting alignment with that person, understanding what is their vision, what is their long-term and short-term goals, both professionally, financially, and personally, and then helping them strategically put something in place to get them to that goal. And being a partner, we like to call it partnerships, because we don't want to work for you. We want to partner with you, to collaborate with you, to help you brand yourself and put your message into the universe for what you stand for what your company stands for. And that's paramount above everything else because, yeah, I don't know if we want to go this route or not, but the new woke things that are going on in marketing, right? It's in the news right now every day with Target and what happened with Bud Light. What people are seeing here is backlash. And I think where we lose a little bit in translation when it comes to marketing, I feel like these big companies, these are big companies. I mean, they could buy me 30 times, 300 times, probably. But you know, you would think they'd be a little smarter when it comes to marketing, you know, and if they're listening, anyone Target or Bud Light, you guys need a marketing agency. No, I'm kidding. But the thing that I wanted to drive home on that is you have to think about your company's brand messaging and what your product or service is. Even though social
Pressures.
social issues are there, there's a time and place for it. You can't take a side on something at 100% when there's so much division on it, especially if you don't want it to hurt your company.
I want to add something to that too. I think the most important thing for a company, and we say that all the time, know your audience. If you don't identify the audience from the beginning, and this is why we send all this, like we talk about customer avatars, this and that, like know your audience, because the message you're gonna start spreading out, it needs to resonate with the audience. And the audience in the first place, either some people like it or not, it's gonna be one group of people, even if it's large or small, it doesn't matter. You know the audience, you build an army. You build people, you build loyal fans. It's the same thing. I was explaining to everybody that music and business have a lot of things in common if you do this right. Because you're going to build a brand, the brand will have followers and fans. It's the same thing with a music band. So you want to do it the right way. So know your audience, I would say it's like big into that a lot of people always, neglect.
Right. I don't think a company is a political platform. And I think regardless of how you feel about one issue or another, you want to be supportive, you want to be unifying as a company. It's not your job, and it's not the platform, I don't think, to send a political statement one way or the other.
Make a donation if that's really, you want to make a donation to a society that can now spread that message separately, but that's their messaging. So it makes sense for them to spread that message. It doesn't make sense for Target and Bud Light and things like that, to take I mean, they're entitled to a stance, but I think there needs to be a separation of personal views and business. I think America needs to wake up to that and say, enough is enough. Run your business, play sports. People want to watch sports for sports, not for when you kneel during the during the national anthem.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about patriot as well. Like I really love this country through and through and through, and for everything that men like yourself have served for, fought for. We just celebrated Memorial Day. Well, honored Memorial Day. I always hate when people say happy Memorial Day because it's like, what's happy about it? We lost so many soldiers.
Yeah.
But
honored is a good word. I agree. Let me make one comment. We're going to go to our next and last break. But, as we talk about political platforms or making statements through our businesses, again, I don't feel like that's the place for it. My show, there are shows out there, of course, that are very political and one-sided, and I avoid that. When I was asked about what I wanted to do as a host, and if I had a show with Voice America, they said, what would your platform be? And I said, number one, we need to be willing to change as businesses. We need to be open-minded to new technologies and approaches and relationships and so forth. And we need to look at the other side, somebody we may disagree with, and put ourselves in their shoes, right? And try to understand them better, because we'll do better if we do. And secondly, we need to link arms and work together. We get too hyper-focused in America on our differences. And the crazy piece of that, the really, I guess, unfortunate side of it is that we agree on most things. We all agree that we want businesses to thrive and our nonprofits to do well and our kids to be safe at school. We want clean drinking water. We don't want potholes in our roads. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's 95% of the things we focus on. But when we are hyper-focused on the 5% we disagree on, even to the point of putting millions and millions of dollars into an ad campaign, Budweiser learned that was the wrong move. And so they were trying to meet the 5% and it bit them in the butt. So we're up against our break. When we come back, I want to talk about what you two or you three, what you at Silver Spoon Agency are doing to look at marketing and advertising differently. Because I know you're using AI and some things that are very interesting. So got to go to break. We're visiting with the execs at Silver Spoon Agency, and we will be right back.
Okay, great job. All clear. Back in 2.
Thanks, Andrew.
You know, Patrick, a follow-up to what you're saying is, I don't know if you've read Don Miguel Ruiz, his books. He has the 4 agreements, but he also has a book about attachment and how we identify through attachments that we have, and it's a fascinating book because it talks about how we all divide ourselves based on our attachments that are related to our ego and our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think one of the points that they were making as well was when we serve so many different businesses, they all have an individual audience and a brand within that audience. And so we're here to further that brand and further the engagement with their audience, so it's kind of a nice neutral position to be in, to let go of some of those attachments and just actually serve the client to the result that they're looking for. So yeah, I was thinking of that when you were talking about it, because you were right. I mean, how much collaboration and community can we be in when we align the dots that we are in agreement with versus those that we disagree. So anyway.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. I'll tell you a funny story real quick before he comes back. You were talking about painting numbers on curves as a kid.
Yeah.
We grew up doing that. My parents actually worked their way through their honeymoon painting numbers on curves in California. They'd paint numbers for the first, half a day and make enough money. Then they could go to Disneyland that afternoon or go to dinner or do whatever. They'd say, "Hi, we're working our way through our honeymoon. Can we paint a number on your curve?" And the numbers are great, right? Because law enforcement can find a house more quickly, and so I've gone out and taken my boys and done it, and we still have a kit for painting numbers on curves. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great story. It reminds me of my parents when you
I love it. Yeah, so many little entrepreneurial businesses out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, they finally had to stop because my mom started getting sick from the fumes from the spray. Because I was a honeymoon baby, so she was like a month pregnant or 2 months pregnant, painting numbers on curves. Right?
All right, sorry to jump in here, Patrick, but we are coming back.
What was the
All right, coming back.
Tell me later.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back to Finding Certainty. Visiting with Ceasar Munoz, George Karafotis, and Lisa Garife of Silver Spoon Agency. Before the break, I almost said Silver Spring because my parents lived in Silver Spring, Maryland for several years. I caught myself, but anyway. So we were talking before the break about really what sets Silver Spoon apart, or any business apart, in working with their clients. And you talk about how you refer to your clients as partners. We do the same. We refer to our clients as our partners, not just as customers. And you talked about how you really need to get to know what their goals are, their objectives. And all of that comes down to listening, right? It comes down to not coming in just with an agenda. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. But getting to know and coming to understand your clients better. And I believe if you approach business in general, especially what you do, but any business, if you take that approach first, and then you blend in the technology and the cutting edge models and AI and everything else you're doing, that is a recipe for success, in my opinion. But, I told you this show goes fast, so we're down to about 10 minutes here. I'd love to hear more about what specifically you do from a technology standpoint, or from, let's talk a little bit about AI and how that's changing the landscape. But whoever wants to speak up, share with us a little bit about specifically what you guys do on that side of it, the technology side of it, that's turning so many heads.
So
Can I pop in here really quick? Because I would like to set this up for them. And, I think that I was talking to a client yesterday, a gentleman who said to me, Lisa, how do we even know, like, what to do and where to go? There's so much change happening. And, that individual's trying to run their business. They're not experts at this. And, I think the frustration is growing amongst, business owners or advertisers who are trying to figure out like what works and what doesn't work. And the answer is a little different for every different type of business based on where they're at and what niche they're in, et cetera. But what I think gets missed is once you get that formula down and you figure it out and you realize word of mouth and referral is not going to help you scale your business, then you can start to dial in the mechanics that make that engine run. And there's a formula that brings a lot of certainty to all of this confusion, which it's mathematical, it's compound math. And it is basically, you have 4 components. You have leads, you have a rate of conversion, you have transactions per customer, and you have the sale value. And if you go across those 4 items and you increase them by 10% each, you can increase your business by 30%.
Interesting.
And if you increase those components by 15% each, you can double your business. And so what we have seen and what ends up happening here is, we get going, we build that know, like, trust. We want to have that solid relationship and really understand, as Ceasar was saying, the elements of why they're in business, who is benefiting from this outcome, and all of that personally and professionally. But once we know that and we've started down that path of a long-term relationship and a partnership, then we can turn up the volume and we can go, okay, great, let's feed more in here. Let's put more fuel in the tank so you can go further. We're not going to just fill your tank a quarter of a tank. We're going to give you a full tank of leads that are quality, that have data points that are dialed in. And then you can go farther in your business. You can not only get going and gain traction, but you can go longer term. And people want to kind of peel back the onion. They're tired of a lot of like throwing my money here, throwing my money there. I've spent money on this. I've spent money on ads. I spent money on me. Like, but what do I get in the end? And so we've kind of streamlined that with the technology. And these two are absolute hands down experts at what they do with that. So.
Well, I love how strategic it is. And that's the thing I've learned about digital marketing is once you figure out that formula and you see results coming in, then you just scale. If X number of dollars produces X number of leads, if you scale that up and double that, you're going to produce more leads. I didn't know the statistic about increase this to 15% in each of these areas and you're going to double your business. That's encouraging. You think you'd have to double your business, double your lead flow to double your business, but it doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't have to be like that. So, and then the key is, how do I get those leads quick, fast, to the point, that are qualified, that I can take them and move forward with my business? And so there's technology and there's expertise, and that's Silver Spoon.
And obviously the customer has to be good at converting those leads and serving the customer, because if that part doesn't work, the first part isn't going to do much, right?
Right.
George, Ceasar, got comments?
Yeah, so basically, we talked a little bit, we touched base on AI and stuff like that. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, AI is going to take our jobs, are getting afraid and freaking out of how this works. The reality is we've been working with AI for so many years. It's either on like the way we manage like the ads, and I took a lot of parts. I told you, like, I have the trader background, day trader. So I took a lot of the recipes and the formulas that I was using for the algorithmic trading I was doing, and I implemented that in marketing. So the way we push ad spend through the day, we increase the ad spend, or we eliminate ad spend, we have to. The way we're gonna turn off some ads and stuff like that is based on certain rules. It's like trading rules, but for marketing, for scaling the ads. So if I see that an ad is producing 300% return, I'm gonna just increase the budget by 50%. So we have certain rules there that apply for every single ad account, and it's of course different for every single one. Now that's one part of the AI. The other part of the AI that is definitely helping out a lot is we call them power pixels. We get way more data points, and we know exactly what they visit, which page of the website, how much time they spend, and we get a few extra things there that we can feed through our custom segmentation audiences, and then we can just retarget these people. So, and you mentioned before, we're co-founders of a SaaS software that we're looking to release over the next 3-4 weeks maximum. And it basically what it does is it anonymizes the website traffic without you filling out a form, without you doing anything. We can get the right data points to make the ads more personalized to you. We care about the end user. We want to make sure that the end user is getting served the right ads. So we keep our clients happy, we scale our clients, we scale our business, and we scale our partnerships, because it's a numbers game or anything you do in business. So the big thing that I see coming next in marketing, and the way that a lot of companies will have to sift their work, is utilizing AI the right way, but also utilizing AI after they have the formula down, after they have the funnel, the offer, the messaging. If you don't sit down with your clients, the first conversation you need to have in the onboarding, most important thing, what is your offer? What is your message? Oh, you don't have an offer? Let's sit down and talk. Let's fix the funnels. Let's fix the landing pages, fix the website, make sure everything is dialed in. Now I'm going to implement all the right custom recipes that I have in our AI systems, and get along with my superstar team, absolute rock stars. Everybody's like, great. And I'm just going to scale your business. You'll be happy, we'll be happy, but I want the client to have their systems dialed in too. So that's the first type of conversation we want to have with the client, because we truly care about it.
Right.
That's the truth. Like we operate with that. So Ceasar, do you want to add something?
It's if I may interject, and we're coming down to the wire here. I know there's people who are concerned about AI. They worry it's going to replace jobs, and it's going to, copywriters and so forth and so on. But I don't think we're ever going to be at a point, and certainly we shouldn't ever get to a point where we lose the human element, because you have to have that initial rapport and that initial interview and understanding, and you have to blend the two together. You can't have 100% technology. You can't have, these days, really, you're unwise to have 100% human factor, right? You need to blend the two if you truly want to achieve the highest levels. And if you don't, you're going to be left in the dust. Got a comment on that, Ceasar, and then we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'll say something here that I'll also at least kind of comment on it. But I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's finding that balance between the personal touch from the human, and then using AI as a tool, not as a solution, to help lift your message and get it out there. We were beta testers for ChatGPT before it went public, and we were doing that, and we got ChatGPT 4. So we've been in it since before it was big news, right? And we tested a lot of different things. And I still believe it's amazing. I'm not going to take that away from them. It is
incredible
technology.
It's definitely a time saver, I find. Helps me get that 60%, 70% done, and then I can help.
You get the outline, and then you just go in there and you tweak it now, and it makes the workload a lot easier.
Right.
But it's probably not going to replace a lawyer, because AI is not standing up there in front of a judge pitching your testimony. But however, it can help a lawyer craft their arguments much more clearly, maybe.
And do research and et cetera. I mean, it's just huge time saver, I believe. So, well, guys, you've been great guests, and I
Thank
think, go ahead, Lisa.
I'll say too that AI won't do what George just said. AI won't back up and say, let's get your offer right. Let's make sure this is in place. Let's make sure your sales process dialed in. AI will just say, boom, transact, move forward. And then you got a bunch of chaos happening without the proper setup. So that's the human factor. That's the expertise. That's the wisdom that goes into actually making it work. So
I couldn't agree more. We're here because Lisa does such a great job at building rapport and doing exactly what you guys have been talking about. It kind of blew me away when we looked at it as a company, and I think you've found a diamond in the rough by partnering with Lisa and blending your talents together. I know it's just going to take Silver Spoon, not Silver Spring, Silver Spoon to the next level. So how do clients out there listening to you, they've been spending their dollars and maybe not getting the results they want? I'm sure you do a free consultation. How do people get a hold of you to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. They could visit our website, www.silverspoonagency.com. They can also just call us, 845-280-5377. And we'll be happy to hear your concerns, what you're dealing with your business. We'll set up a free strategy session, like you mentioned. We'll do a free audit. We'll audit their entire business from top to bottom, from a media buying standpoint and a creative standpoint. And we'll just give, that free strategy session, like what we give you, you could take and run with it on your own, or you can decide to hire us to work with you and partner with us to fix your business and help you scale.
And we can share our screen always and show you real results, no slide decks, no, like
no smoke and mirrors.
edited case studies or anything like that. We're just on it and prove what we do, and we're just, we can help.
And I would say the last thing on that is, we operate on core values, right? Integrity being number one, innovation, and then dedication to the success of our client.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. You've been listening to Finding Certainty. Hope you'll join us next Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be interviewing Craig Shaw, who's the co-founder, CEO of Craig Shelley Jewelers. He's also very involved in AI. He's part of a mastermind I'm a part of called Legion. And it should be a very interesting conversation next week. As a follow-up to this one, AI is a little bit of our theme this week or this month, and it's a very interesting topic. So thanks for being on my show, you guys. I really appreciate it. And if you're watching the YouTube, we usually chat for a few minutes after, so don't go anywhere. Thanks for listening.
thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.